Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Updates at Noon with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the government would continue to use the hotspot identification by dynamic engagement HIDE system to monitor COVID-19 hotspot premises and areas as well as take follow-up actions. Now, the Premier at the same time urged the public to face the third wave of COVID-19 with full discipline as the pandemic had been described as more violent and critical. Well, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, through a statement release, said the best is to stay at home to jointly flatten the curve of the COVID-19 infection as the country had flattened the curve during the first and second wave. He also said that it's not difficult to practice self-discipline and advised the public to avoid crowded places, adopt physical distancing, always wear face masks in public places and wash hands at all times apart from practicing good self-hygiene. The nationwide MCO was first enforced from 18th March 2020 until 3rd May last year. MCO 2.0 was then implemented in 6 states, namely Pulau Pinang, Selangor, the Federal Territories of Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya and Labuan, Malacca, Johor and Sabah from 13 to 26 January before it was extended for Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Johor and Pulau Pinang until 4th March. Well, Malaysia yesterday announced it will temporarily suspend on its side the reciprocal green lane or RGL travel bubble with Singapore beginning 13th May. Well, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said the measure comes in the wake of Singapore having been listed as a country that has reported transmissions of SARS-CoV variant of concern or VOC in the community. Elaborating further through a statement release, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said the measure was taken based on reports released by the Singapore Health Ministry pertaining to the South African B.1.351 variant, United Kingdom B.1.1.7 variant, now Brazilian B.1.1.28 variant, and the variant of interest or VOI from India, namely the B.1.617.1. And he said that as such, travelers from Singapore who wish to enter Malaysia for business have to use the One-Stop Center or OSC set up by the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA. And he also said that all travelers entering Malaysia from Singapore and travelers using the periodic communicating arrangement or PCA facility have to undergo a 14-day mandatory quarantine at the government gazetted stations beginning 13 May. The travelers from Singapore are also required to adhere to the standard operating procedure or SOPs for all travelers from countries with SARS-CoV-2 VOC in the community. The Health Director General added that the Health Ministry will constantly update the list of countries with SARS-CoV-2 VOC transmissions in the community and make it public from time to time. Well, the Pilgrims Fund Board or Tabung Haji TH has advised prospective Malaysian pilgrims to be prepared as the Saudi Arabian government may allow foreign pilgrims to perform the Hajj this year. Its Executive Director, Dato' Sri Said Saleh Said Abdul Rahman, said all prospective pilgrims should be physically, spiritually and financially prepared as well as equipped with the required knowledge. Well, Dato' Sri Said Saleh said TH had been organizing the basic Hajj courses online since the beginning of this year, and the main Hajj course would be held online in the month of Shawwal for the pilgrims to gain practical knowledge and have an idea of performing the Hajj under the present situation. Well, he was commenting on a statement from the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Hajj and Umrah that the Hajj pilgrimage would continue this year, provided the pilgrims complied with all health, safety and regulatory standards and regulations in effort to ensure the safety, health and well-being of all pilgrims. In addition, he said the Saudi Arabian health authorities would continue to assess and take all measures to ensure that the health of the pilgrims is protected, and details on the operational planning and control for this year's Hajj season would be announced later. The TH Executive Director added that the pilgrims should also be prepared to take the mandatory meningococcal injection and COVID-19 vaccine when called by the Health Ministry so that the vaccination process meets the stipulated time frame apart from going for their health checks. Individual taxpayers are reminded to submit their income tax return forms or BNCP via e-filing this Saturday, the 15th of May. The Inland Revenue Board, the IRB, in a statement released yesterday said that individual taxpayers who have only one source of employment, income, and have made monthly tax deductions or PCB can choose not to submit a BNCP to the IRB. Well, the statement said that if the choice has been made not to submit the BNCP, then the PCB that has been deducted by the employer is considered is the final tax. Well, it said that the final tax practice note has been posted on the website for further clarification. The note, among others, explained that the conditions of the PCB which can be considered as final tax and the implications of the final tax option made by the taxpayers. Well, apart from that, the note also clarifies the categories of taxpayers who are not eligible to choose the final tax option, including those working for more than one employer, a husband or wife who makes a choice to be assessed together under Section 45 of the Income Tax Act 1967 and tax borne by the employer. Specializing in stealing luxury vehicles in the Klang Valley has been crippled with the arrest of 13 people, including 2 foreign women, in a series of raids since the 1st of May. In Kuala Lumpur Police, Deputy Chief Dr. Yong Lei Chu said members of the King Gang, aged between 24 and 54, were rounded up in Kelantan, Selangor and Kuala Lumpur. Well, she said 5 luxury vehicles, including a Toyota Hilux, an Alphard and Toyota Fortuner worth about 1 million ringgit in total, were also seized in the operations. Well, she said the syndicate has been active since 2018, targeting parked luxury vehicles by copying the frequency of their keys. They also use a jammer which caused the GPS system to malfunction to thwart efforts to detect the stolen vehicles. And Dr. Yong noted that the vehicles were then taken to Kelantan by syndicate members before being smuggled to a neighboring country through illegal routes and their members' network. Now, the KL Deputy Police Chief Shide added that allegations found that a syndicate member received 2,500 ringgit for every luxury vehicle stolen, which would then be sold in the neighboring country at 35,000 ringgit. Well, she said with these arrests, police have solved 62 cases of theft of luxury vehicles worth 6.2 million ringgit. Now, all the suspects who did not have any criminal records have been remanded for further investigations. The police have urged the public to be aware that the My BNM app is being used by unscrupulous parties to commit fraud. The My BNM app, which was an online application offered by Bank Negara Malaysia or BNM from November 2015 till November last year. While Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department CCID Dato Zainuddin Yaakob said in a statement that victims of such cases would be contacted by suspects posing as enforcement agency officers, including BNM. And he said the victims would then be asked to download the fake My BNM app, and through the app they would be asked to key in personal details, including their name, ATM card number and PIN, username and password. And he also said that after securing the information, the syndicate would then make money transfers from the victim's account to a third-party account, adding that the victim would only realize they had been scammed after discovering they are left with little money in their account. And based on records throughout 2020, he said 53 cases were reported with losses of 1.9 million ringgit, while from January to April this year, the number of cases recorded increased to 57 cases with losses of 1.7 million ringgit. Dato Zainuddin urged the public to increase their awareness on crime prevention, including being more cautious and increasing their knowledge about such scams. He also advised the public to make confirmation checks through the website or download the Sema Mule CCID app before making any transactions. In addition, the public is urged to contact the CCID Scam Response Center if they have any information or doubts about commercial crime. Well, a total of 408 taxi drivers and over 1,300 employees from 141 tourist and travel agencies affected by the COVID-19 outbreak will each receive 300 ringgit through the Terengganu People's Economic Aid or Berita 2.0 incentive program. Now, State Tourism, Culture and Digital Technology Committee Chairman Arifin Deraman said over 520,000 ringgit had been allocated for this special incentive, which is hoped to ease the people's burden, especially in making preparation for Aidil Fitri celebration. Well, commenting further on the matter, Arifin said the aid is to be distributed to all eligible recipients in stages, will be credited into their respective accounts. Well, last February, Berkat 1.0 aid for the tourism sector, totaling 150,200 ringgit, was distributed to Sultan Mahmud Airport taxi drivers, tour guides, trishaw riders, boat operators, speedboat drivers, Tasik Kanyir boathouse operators, and mountain guides. Meanwhile, several taxi drivers, when met by the media, expressed their gratitude for the timely assistance, which they said was useful as Hari Raya is just a few days away. Malaysia squad are ready to face the second round of the 2022 World Cup 2023 Asian Cup qualifiers in the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, next month, with more confidence now that all the players have received a second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine jab. Now, that's one thing national head coach Tan Cheng Ho can strike off his to-do list as he prepares to call up the players for the centralized training camp, which begins on 16th May. In fact, national head coach Tan Cheng Ho believes the second dose of the vaccine jab has given him a peace of mind, especially with the rising number of COVID-19 cases of late. Well, Cheng Ho and the national team officials, as well as the 29 national players yesterday, completed their second dose of the vaccination after receiving the first dose on 19th April. Harimau Malaya skipper Muhammad Aidil Zafwan Abdul Razak, Muhammad Safawi Rasid, Brandon Khan, Muhammadu Sumari, Nur Shahrul Idlan Talaha, Muhammad Shami Safari, and Muhammad Farizal Marlias were among the players who were vaccinated. Football Association of Malaysia FAM Deputy Presidents Dato Muhammad Yusuf Mahadi and Dato S. Sivasundram were also among those who received the second dose of the vaccine jab under the Youth and Sports Ministry's National COVID-19 Immunization Program. Meanwhile, Muhammad Farizal said the vaccine had boosted the players' confidence ahead of the Group G matches against the UAE, Vietnam and Thailand in the qualifiers. Today's edition of Updates at noon. In our top story, public urge to face third wave of COVID-19 with full discipline. Well, tune in to News at 10, coming up at 10 p.m. on My Free Views, saluran Berita RTM, channel 123. You could also stream the channel via YouTube or RTM's Click web portal and mobile app. Thanks for watching. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos, and have a pleasant day. Bye for now.